I've been driving trucks for 18 years, and in all that time, I've learned one thing. The road changes a man. The silence, the distance, the way the dark wraps around a windshield. Like it's hiding something out there, something waiting. Some drivers get used to it. Some learn to ignore the shadows. Some never come back the same. I used to think I was one of the normal ones, just a guy hauling cargo through the night, listening to late-night country stations and waiting for sunrise like it was some kind of salvation. But that night in Nevada, God, that night, it changed everything I thought I knew about what waits out there on open asphalt. I was hauling refrigerated goods from Salt Lake City to Reno. Easy job, 3 stops, 12-hour window, clear sky, dry road. Dispatch told me to take Route 6 because the freeway had some construction. I'd driven Route 6 maybe twice. Nothing but emptiness and sand for miles, but it saved time. I didn't question it. I left Salt Lake at sunset, the sky orange and pink behind me, as I merged onto the highway. Traffic died quickly, and soon it was just me, my engine, and the hum of tires chewing up the dark. I remember thinking how peaceful it felt. That peace didn't last long. Around 11 p.m., I spotted the first mile marker, mile 47. Nothing special, just a green sign on a thin metal pole. But the moment I passed it, my CB crackled with static so sharp it made me flinch. Then, buried under the static, a whisper, a child's voice. "Turn around, he's coming." I froze. I thought maybe I was fatigued. Maybe another trucker's signal was bouncing weird. Maybe it was interference. Then I remembered. I hadn't seen another set of headlights in nearly 40 minutes. I shook it off, turned the radio off, and kept driving. 10 minutes later, there it was again. Mile 47. Same bent pole, same bullet hole near the bottom, same little rust patch at the corner. I slowed down, stared at it through the windshield, thought maybe I misread the first one. But no, it was the exact same sign. And as soon as my truck rolled past it, the CB flickered back to life even though I'd turned it off. Static buzzed, softer this time. The whisper came through again. "Turn around, please." Same voice, a kid, young, maybe 10, 11. I felt the hair on my arms lift. I reached for the CB mic, even though I knew damn well nothing good was coming out of that speaker. "Who is this?" "Nothing." "Is someone out there?" Static. "You need help." More static. Then, right before the channel went dead again, the whisper came back, trembling, like whoever was speaking was terrified. "He's coming." I swear to God. I almost turned the truck around right then. I wasn't scared of ghosts or desert stories, but that voice, it felt real and wrong and close, but I convinced myself it was a glitch, just radio interference bouncing off hills or military bases out here. There were plenty. I kept rolling forward. 30 minutes later, I felt sick, because there it was again. Mile 47. Same one. Exact one. Same bent metal. Same bullet hole. Same everything. I slammed the brakes so hard the trailers jerked behind me. Dust kicked up around the tires and drifted across the beams of my headlights. I wasn't imagining this. I climbed down from the cab, boots crunching gravel, the desert air cold enough to sting my skin. I walked to the sign, ran my fingers across the rust patch. It was real, solid, cold. I turned around, scanning both directions of the highway. Nothing but straight road stretching forever. I felt watched. The desert does that sometimes. Makes you feel exposed. But this felt like someone was standing right behind me. I spun around fast. Nobody, just silence. The kind of silence that pushes into your ears so hard it hurts. Then, from somewhere out in the dark, something scraped against asphalt. Slow, dragging. I stayed still, didn't breathe. Then I heard it again, closer this time. Scrape, scrape, scrape. My chest tightened. "Hello?" I called, voice shaking. Silence. I backed toward the cab. Whatever made that sound, I didn't want to meet it. I climbed in, locked the doors, turned the truck around, and floored it back the way I came. My hands shook on the wheel. I drove for 30 minutes. Then the impossible happened again. There it was. Mile 47. In front of me. Not behind me. In front. I slammed the brakes so violently that the cargo in the trailer shifted with a heavy thud. I backed up a few feet, drove forward, stopped again. It didn't matter. Every direction led to mile 47. My pulse pounded in my ears. My throat tightened. I was trapped. The CB crackled again, even though I wasn't touching it. The child's voice whispered, barely audible, like he was crying. "Please, turn around, he's here." I snapped. "Who's here? Who are you talking about?" Static swallowed the rest of the message. The radio died. I killed the engine. The silence pressed against the cab windows like a living thing. Then I saw movement. About 30 yards ahead, on the right shoulder of the road, someone was standing, or something. A tall figure, unmoving, arms hanging straight down like dead weight. The body was coated in something thick, looked like mud, or dried blood. Hard to tell in the headlights. The head was tilted too far to the side, like the neck couldn't hold it upright. Then the arm lifted, slowly, painfully, and it waved. I panicked, slammed the gearbox into reverse. Tires squealed as I backed up, dust swirling like ghosts around the headlights. But as I reversed, the figure stepped forward, one slow step at a time, dragging a foot behind him like it was broken. That scraping sound. Oh God. I shifted to drive, floored the pedal and shot past him. I didn't look. I didn't breathe. I just drove until tears blurred the windshield. Hours passed, or felt like hours. The sky started to lighten. Dawn. Finally, I found a gas station. Rusty sign, peeling paint, but real. People, lights, civilization. I stumbled inside, pale, shaking. The clerk, a teenage guy with shaggy hair and dark circles under his eyes, stared at me like I was a ghost. "You okay, man?" My throat was dry. I need to know, what town is this?" "Tonopah," he said slowly. "You coming from the east or the west?" "The east," I said. "Route 6. The clerk went silent, completely still. "Sir," he said quietly, "where did you say you just came from?" "Route 6. He swallowed hard, eyes wide. "That highway's been closed for 18 years. I stared at him. "What?" "It shut down after the killings. The mass murder. They bulldozed part of it. Nobody drives it. There's concrete barriers. Man, it's gone." "That's impossible," I whispered. "I was just on it." He stepped back slightly. "Sir, there's no Route 6 east of here anymore. It's desert, empty. People say the land swallowed it." I backed away from him, shaking my head. No, I saw the road. I saw the mile markers. He interrupted me. "What mile marker?" 47. His face drained of color. "That's the one." "What do you mean?" "That's where they found the bodies," he whispered. "The kids. He killed them and left them there. Mile marker 47. Only thing left from the highway is that sign." I stared at him, frozen. He continued, voice trembling. "They say their voices still call for help, and they say the killer still walks that stretch at night." My legs almost gave out. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. The clerk hesitated, then asked, "Sir, when you were out there, did you see him?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I stumbled outside to breathe, to think, to calm my shaking hands. That's when the police rolled in. A deputy stepped out of his SUV, nodding politely. "You the driver who came from the east?" he asked. "Yeah." He lifted something from his passenger seat, held it up. "A CB log recorder. This was found under your rig," he said. "Probably fell loose from the mount. I hadn't even realized it was missing." "We played the tape," he continued, his voice tightening. "There's something you need to hear." He pressed play. Static. Long, deep static. Then, a child's whisper. "Turn around. He's coming." Same voice, same terror. The deputy watched me. "Thing is," he said, "the timestamp on this recording, it's from 2006. My stomach dropped. That was 18 years ago. Before I could speak, before I could breathe, the deputy added something I will never forget. And sir, Route 6 wasn't just closed after the murders. It was erased, physically removed. There's no road out there for your truck to have driven on. Not a single tire track. Nothing. I looked past him, toward the desert, toward the place where Route 6 used to be. And for a split second, just a blink, I saw someone standing there, covered in dried mud, head tilted, slowly waving. I blinked and he was gone. I left Nevada that same day. I've never gone back. But every now and then, late at night, when I'm on some lonely stretch of highway and the road starts to feel too still, my CB crackles, static whispers. A child's voice trembles through the speaker. "Turn around, he's coming." And I swear, for the briefest moment, I smell desert dust and see a green sign in the dark, mile 47, waiting for me. I've hauled a lot of strange loads in my years on the road. Stacks of refrigerated carcasses, expired pharmaceuticals, museum crates nobody was allowed to open. But nothing stuck with me like what went down the night I pulled Trailer 47. It started with a phone call at 9:43 p.m. I'd just parked at a truck stop outside Bakersfield, ready to crash for 8 hours, when dispatch rang with that urgent tone I'd learned never means anything good. "Calvin, I need you to take a priority load tonight," my dispatcher said, voice tight like he was trying not to breathe too loud. "Hazmat certified only. That's you." I rubbed my eyes. "What kind of hazmat?" There was a pause. Not long, but long enough to register. "Biohazard," he finally said. "Level 4. Do not open. Do not inspect. Do not engage. Just transport." "Where to?" "An airfield in Barstow. You'll meet a federal handoff team at 3:30 a.m. They'll unload. You leave immediately after." Something felt wrong, but I needed the overtime. Christmas was coming, and my daughter had asked for an expensive camera for her photography class, so I agreed. I pulled into the pickup site 30 minutes later, a fenced facility with no sign. No lights, except a single security flood lamp, and a guard who looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Trailer 47 was waiting. White, clean, no decals, no company name, just a painted red stripe and a biohazard emblem on the doors, and a sticker slapped on the latch that read, "Do not open under any circumstances. Authorized transport only. Contact if breach occurs." But the worst part was the way the guard kept staring at the trailer, like someone was inside it, and he didn't want to look them in the eyes. "You sure this is safe?" I asked, signing the manifest. "You just keep the truck moving," he said softly. "Whatever you do, don't stop. What's in there?" He paused. Then he said something I still hear when I try to sleep. "They told us it was a body." Was. That was all he said. He backed away from me like I was carrying a live bomb. Maybe I was. I hooked the trailer, did a quick walk around, and got moving. It felt just like any other haul for the first couple miles. Radio low, highway empty, temperature dropping into the kind of cold that makes the road feel brittle. Then, the first bang came, loud enough to rattle the frame. I flinched hard, eyes snapping to the mirrors. The sound had come from inside the trailer, near the front, heavy, solid, like something with weight. I told myself it was shifting cargo, even though biohazard bodies aren't supposed to shift. I kept driving. 10 minutes later, another bang. Louder, then another, then two in a row, evenly spaced, like someone knocking. Knock, knock. I swallowed hard. "Just the cargo," I muttered. "Just settling, just physics." Another knock. 3 hits in a row, perfectly timed. I snapped on the CB. "Dispatch, this is Calvin," I said. "There's movement in the trailer. Something's not right." Static. Then a voice, calm but strained. "Driver, do not stop the truck. Keep driving." I said, "There's movement. Keep driving. Do not pull over. Do not open the trailer. Do not make contact." "Make contact?" I repeated. "With what?" Silence. Then the CB cut out completely. The knocking got faster. I turned up the radio to drown it out, but the banging only grew angrier, as if responding to the noise. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my arms. At 12:17 a.m., the first helicopter appeared overhead, dark, low. No lights except a faint strobe that flashed across my windshield every few seconds. "What the hell?" I whispered. It wasn't a news chopper. Too quiet. Too fast. Then I saw them. Black SUVs, ahead on the road, parked across the right lane like a blockade. I slowed automatically. The knocking in the trailer stopped. A bad sign. Before I could come to a full stop, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. "Driver Calvin Reeves," a voice said before I even answered. "Do not stop your truck. Maintain speed. Proceed through the left lane only. Do not interact with law enforcement or unmarked vehicles." "Are you kidding me? They're blocking the road." "Proceed, now." The SUV suddenly peeled apart, creating a narrow path just wide enough for a semi. As I passed, I saw men dressed in tactical gear, not police, not military, wearing respirators and holding containment shields. One of them made eye contact with me. He looked terrified. I kept moving. For the next hour, the knocking turned into pounding. Violent, furious. It shook the entire trailer, the steering wheel, even the pedals under my feet. Whatever was in there wasn't just waking up, it was getting stronger. At 1:09 a.m., I reached a long, desolate stretch of desert highway. Nothing around but sand and dark horizon. The helicopter was still overhead, but farther back now, keeping distance, tracking me like I was the dangerous one. Then the pounding stopped completely. The silence was worse. I waited for the next hit, braced for it. Instead, I heard something I still can't erase from my skull. A voice, not a child's, not a man's, something broken, wavering, like someone trying to speak through water. It came from the trailer. "Let me out." My blood went cold. It wasn't begging. It was testing the words, like learning how to shape them. My breathing went shallow. My hands shook so badly, I had to grip the wheel tighter. "Dispatch," I said, voice scraping out of my throat. "There is someone in the trailer." Static. "Dispatch, respond. There is a person in trailer 47. More static, then a whisper, barely audible. "Keep driving." The trailer groaned, its metal siding flexing like something inside was pushing outward. I hit 70 miles per hour, faster than I should have for a hazmat haul, but staying slow wasn't an option anymore. At 1:22 a.m., the thing inside began dragging itself toward the doors. I knew because I could hear it, heavy, uneven thumps sliding from the front of the trailer to the back. Then silence. Then the latch on the trailer door rattled. Something was touching it, trying it, testing it. I felt sweat trickle down my spine. The latch shook harder. Then something slammed into the door so violently the entire cab jerked. I screamed, swerving slightly before righting the truck. Whatever was inside was trying to escape. My phone rang again. "You're halfway," the same man said, sounding out of breath. "Whatever you heard, ignore it." "Is it alive?" "Not in the way you mean." "What does that mean?" "You just need to keep driving." The doors banged again, warping outward. "What is in there?" "A recovered body from a containment event," he said quickly. It doesn't recognize death. It doesn't accept it. My throat closed. What happened to it? It was part of an exorcism case. The entity didn't leave when the body died. It stayed. It adapted. And it wants mobility. The latch snapped. I heard it. Metal popping like a gunshot. If the back doors opened at this speed, the body would fall out. But the man on the phone whispered, "No, it won't fall." The trailer doors slowly began to part. Cold air blasted into the night behind me. The sound of wind shrieking through the gap filled my mirrors. Then I saw it. Something pale, hunched, crawling into the opening. Its skin gray and cracked like dried clay. Its arms wrong, too long, joints bending the wrong way. Its head tilted, eyes black and wet, mouth hanging open like a broken hinge. It wasn't a body. It wasn't a person. It was something wearing a body. It reached one arm out, gripping the edge of the trailer, pulling itself halfway out as if it wanted to climb onto the road. I floored the accelerator. The creature didn't fall. It held on, crawling down the doors like a spider, limbs bending and twisting as it tested its grip. Then it looked directly at me through the mirror, and its jaw slid sideways as it whispered, "Stop." I lost it. I screamed, swerved again, almost jackknifed. The helicopter swooped lower. Black SUVs appeared behind me again, speeding, engines roaring. "Driver Calvin Reeves," the phone voice shouted. "Do not stop the truck. I can't hold it." "You must. If you stop, even for a second, it will hunt the nearest living thing. It will spread. It's already out." "No," he said. "It's trying to get to you." The thing lowered itself further, dangling from the doors, inching toward the cab like it planned to climb along the trailer frame. I pushed the truck past 85 miles per hour. The trailers shook so viciously it felt like they'd tear away, but the creature clung on, crawling closer. When it reached the side of the trailer, I saw it clearly. A twisted, wrong shape, jerking like a marionette pulled by invisible strings. Its face was stretched into something almost human, almost pleading. It reached toward the cab, fingers long and trembling. My vision blurred from fear. Then, just when it reached the midpoint of the trailer, 3 SUVs boxed it in from behind. A spotlight hit it. Someone shouted through a megaphone, "Don't stop! Swerve right!" I did, hard. The creature lost its grip. For one frozen second, I saw it hanging in the air, arms contorted, mouth widening into a scream I couldn't hear. Then it hit the pavement. But it didn't splatter. It rolled, fast, twisting unnaturally, trying to stand even as its limbs snapped. The SUVs hit it all at once, crushing it, pinning it. Bodies in tactical suits piled out, dragging containment nets over its flailing form as it spasmed and shrieked silently. "Keep going!" someone yelled. "Finish the delivery!" I didn't look back. I didn't slow down. At 3:29 a.m., I reached the airfield. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely release the wheel. A team in hazmat suits unhooked my trailer without a word. Someone placed a hand on my shoulder and said quietly, "You did good. You kept it contained long enough." I didn't answer. I couldn't. I drove until the sun came up, parked at a motel, and vomited until there was nothing left. I never took another hazmat run. I quit the company 2 weeks later, but sometimes when I'm on a lonely stretch of highway at night, I hear it. A tiny knock, rhythmic, coming from the empty space behind my seat. Knock, knock. Then, faintly, "Cal, Vin." The storm had been stalking me for miles before it finally caught up. One of those heavy, suffocating Nevada desert storms, the kind that shouldn't exist in a place that barely gets rain. But that night, the sky split open like an infected wound, spilling sheets of icy water that hammered my windshield so hard it sounded like gravel. Lightning flashed every few seconds, bleaching the world into a skeleton version of itself. The CB radio hissed uselessly, picking up only static and bursts of broken chatter that sounded more like distant screaming than any trucker I'd ever known. I'd been driving for 14 hours straight, longer than I should have, but dispatch insisted the load had to reach Salt Lake City before morning. I didn't argue. I needed the money. I needed something to keep me from going home to an empty apartment and memories that refused to stay buried. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I first saw her. At first, she was just a silhouette on the side of the highway, a dark shape hunched against the rain, arms wrapped around herself. The storm made everything move strangely. Lights bent, shadows breathed, and reflections crawled like insects. But this figure was unmistakably human. A woman, alone, on a night like this. I eased my truck closer, slowing just enough to get a better look. That's when the lightning hit, and for a split second the world froze. She was young, maybe late 20s, soaked completely through. Her hair was plastered to her face, dripping like she'd just climbed out of a lake. Her dress clung to her body, shredded near the hem as if she'd run through thorn bushes. Her pale arms were shaking, her knees buckling with exhaustion. Something in my gut twisted. Every instinct told me not to stop. Not tonight, not in this storm. But the part of me that still believed in doing the right thing, the part that hadn't yet been beaten out of me by life, took over. I pulled over. She didn't wave, didn't thank me, didn't even hesitate. She simply approached the passenger door, opened it with trembling hands, and climbed in silently, water dripping onto the floor mat in steady, cold taps. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was barely there. "My car went off the road," she whispered. "It slid into the ditch. I couldn't find my phone." Her lips were blue, her hands ice cold. She stared straight ahead, refusing to look at me. "Are you hurt?" I asked. "No." "Need medical help?" "No." Her answers were so fast they cut my questions off. I swallowed hard. "All right, where are you headed?" She paused, and for the faintest moment, a look crossed her face, something like confusion or fear. "Forward," she murmured, still staring through the windshield. "Just, keep going forward." The truck rumbled back onto the highway. For the first 10 minutes, she didn't move or speak. Her breathing was shallow and uneven, like someone fighting off a panic attack but losing. Every so often, she whispered something under her breath, too soft for me to catch. Finally, I heard it clearly. "He's still there." I glanced over. "What?" She didn't blink. "He's still in the river." My heart stuttered. "Who?" "My son." The storm roared louder, rain slashing sideways across the windshield. "I tried to save him," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I tried so hard. I told him I wouldn't leave. I told him. The air grew colder, much colder. My breath fogged in front of me. The heater was blasting, and yet the passenger side of the cab felt like an icebox. I forced myself to focus on driving. It was just the weather, or shock, or trauma. People say strange things when they're terrified. Then something made me glance at her feet. The floorboard was flooded with water. Not spilled water, not rainwater. It looked like river water, dark, rippling, as if something were moving beneath it. I blinked hard. The water vanished. Just a trick of the light. Just exhaustion. Just my overworked brain playing games. We drove another few miles in silence, the storm finally easing into a steady drizzle. Lightning flickered somewhere behind us. The woman kept whispering to herself, too quietly for me to understand. I decided I needed a break, a place with lights, people, something normal to ground myself. "There's a diner a few miles ahead," I said gently. "Warm food, dry clothes. You should get checked out." She didn't respond. I looked at her again, and my stomach dropped. Her seat was empty, completely empty. Rainwater pooled where she had been sitting, dripping onto the floor. But she was gone. No door sounds, no movement, no footsteps. She had simply disappeared. My hands tightened on the wheel until my knuckles ached. My lungs forgot how to breathe. I swallowed hard, refusing to panic. I was tired, too tired. People hallucinate when they're exhausted. They dream while awake. They imagine things. I kept telling myself that until I pulled into the diner's parking lot. The lights inside were bright, warm, human. I walked in drenched from the run across the parking lot, my nerves stretched thin as old wire. The waitress behind the counter looked half asleep, but she smiled politely as I approached. "You all right, hun? You look like you've seen a ghost." I tried to laugh. It came out wrong. "I just picked up a woman on the highway. Car accident. She said her kid was in the river. Then she disappeared from my truck." The waitress's smile dissolved instantly. Her skin drained of color. What did she look like?" she asked quietly. I described her, the soaked dress, the pale skin, the trembling voice. The waitress grabbed the edge of the counter to steady herself. "Oh God," she whispered. "Not again." My heart pounded. "What do you mean, not again?" "Sir, that woman died 12 years ago. Her car went off the road in a storm. She drowned trying to save her little boy. They never found her body." The waitress's eyes were wide with something between fear and pity. "Truckers see her sometimes, always on nights like this, always asking for help." My mouth went dry. "She gets in their trucks?" I asked. The waitress nodded, tears forming. "And then?" "Then she comes back." Lightning cracked outside the window, close enough to shake the diner. "But if she already disappeared," I whispered, "why would she—" A cold drip hit the back of my neck. Freezing, heavy, wrong. I turned slowly. She was there, sitting in the booth by the window, soaking wet, head tilted, eyes glowing with something hollow and endless. She stared at me, straight into me. "You promised," she whispered, her voice bubbling like water filling lungs. "You promised you'd help me find him." The diner air collapsed into freezing silence. Her wet footprint stretched from the door, all the way to my boots. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. She stood slowly, water spilling from her sleeves, her hair dripping onto the tile like a broken faucet. "I've been waiting," she said, tears of river water rolling down her face. "For 12 years, I've been waiting for someone who wouldn't leave me behind." The lights flickered violently. The room warped, her face twisted into grief and fury and pleading all at once. "Help me," she whispered, "or drown with me." Something cold wrapped around my wrist, her hand, freezing, solid, pulling. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair, heart slamming against my ribs. The waitress screamed. Someone else ran outside, but she didn't let go. Her grip tightened, stronger than anything human. "You're coming," she rasped. "You're coming with me to the river." The diner dissolved into darkness. Rain, thunder, water rising up my legs. I felt myself dragged downward, into a cold so deep it felt like falling through a broken world. Her voice echoed everywhere, inside my head, inside my lungs. "Help me find him." When I finally gasped awake, I was in my truck, engine running, rain pounding the windshield, alone, except the passenger seat was soaked. A small handprint, child-sized, was pressed faintly into the fogged window, and from the sleeper behind me, I heard a tiny voice whisper, "Mommy said you'd help us." The truck shuddered. The storm swallowed the road, and somewhere inside that darkness, I knew I wasn't driving alone anymore.